The African Union plans to launch a new African credit rating agency next year to address the group's concerns that ratings given to countries on the continent are unfair. The agency, which would write up its own assessment of the risks in lending to African countries, would be based on the continent. It would also add context to the information investors consider when deciding whether to buy African bonds or lend privately to countries. The African Union and leaders of member states from Ghana to Senegal and Zambia allege that the big three ratings agencies, those being Moody's, Fitch, and S&P Global Ratings, do not fairly assess the risk of lending to African countries. All right, let's cross live now to Misheck Mutize. He's the lead expert for country support on rating agencies with the African Union. To get more on this, great to have you on. Why does the African Union feel that the current credit ratings for African countries are unfair?
Well, thank you for inviting me. But at this point in time, I think it's no longer an issue of feeling unfairness or allegation that there are unfairness. There is actually a myriad of scientific studies that have pointed to that effect, that there is a huge premium that is charged to African countries that go to borrow on the international financial market because of the pessimistic view of the analysts that assess African financial instruments, including the most recent one from the UNDP, which clearly states and quantify the financial cost of such a negative risk perception to the tune of 75 billion. And that's a lot of money that has been lost in terms of opportunity cost and in terms of the huge debt burden that African governments are subjected to.
So what benefits does the African Union hope to achieve through the establishment of a new credit rating agency?
Well, the African Union's view is to expand diversity of opinions, because if you see the dynamics in the credit rating industry in Africa has been that the big three have been on a move to acquire even the domestic rating agencies that are based in Africa. And they've admitted to a large extent that these African-based rating agencies have got an edge in understanding the domestic context of African instruments. And in our view, we think that it's important to bring a different perspective in terms of opinions, because investors, what they are looking for is credible source of information. And this drive is just to feed towards the diversity of opinions in the credit rating industry away from the big three.
Mm-hmm. As far as investments in African countries, how might the establishment of a new credit rating agency impact that?
Well, it does impact a lot, because we've got the bigger part of African governments that are not rated by any of the big three. In total, I think 22 rather, out of the 55 African Union member states are not rated by the big three, and talk less of corporate and municipality institutions that are prospecting to have the ratings that cannot afford to get such from the big three because of the prohibitive cost. So it's such a huge market, and there's a lot of appetite for expansion in terms of having credit opinions from any other source that could be affordable to these prospective players in the financial market.
Mm-hmm. What would you say are the main challenges that the African Union would likely face in launching and operating a new credit rating agency?
Well, I think we have preempted those challenges, and the model that we have prescribed now does circumvent or avert such challenges, because one of the main challenges has been the issue of credibility, because there's been criticism that if the African Union is taking this drive, of course, it will influence also the outcomes of such rating processes. But now, the declaration that was adopted by ministers of finance this year has been that this institution must be private sector driven. So we are proceeding to engage the private sector partners that will lead the process of implementing that decision to ensure that the necessary steps are undertaken to gain the necessary credibility and also get the confidence from the market. But the long and short of it will be the proof will be out of the outcome of the rating processes and also the final product that will be issued by such an institution to prove to the market that it's equal to the task and it provide competent and comprehensive opinions that are worth to be paid attention to.
All right, we'll leave it there. Misheck Mutize, lead expert for country support on rating agencies with the African Union.
Thank you.